This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am here at Campagnolo in Toronto. We're just setting up for a luncheon with the wonderful wines of Anselmi, and across the table from me is the lovely Lisa Anselmi. How are you today?
Fine, thanks.
Now, I've been familiar with your wines for many a year. Soave was one of the first white wine styles I really looked into, and at the time I can remember back in the UK 20 years ago there were two names, and that was Pierre Pain and Anselmi.
Of course.
So you're part of the family, obviously, with your
Yes.
surname. What were your first impressions of Anselmi as a family company as you were growing up?
So you have to think that the winery was founded by my grandfather in 1948 with completely different philosophy in the business, because my grandfather was just a negociant. Bought the wine and bottle with very medium quality, made 15 million bottles a year, so it was a big industry. And the situation completely changed with my father, more or less 40 years ago, when my father finished to study and decided to work in the family business. Fortunately, understood that was the moment to change the philosophy of the winery and to start to focus everything in the quality to give value to our territory.
When your grandfather was working as a negociant, was that under the Anselmi name?
But Anselmi name was considered at that time just I don't like to tell, but it's cheap wine.
I see.
It's
Yes,
big
yeah.
production, and so for my father it was not easy to maintain the brand, to maintain the name of the estate, and completely give another idea to the consumer that okay, is Anselmi, is the same winery, is the same estate, but now we have completely changed our philosophy. So I have just few memories of this period because I born in '79, so I was a baby when all this changement happened. But I have just to thank you, my father, for this not easy decision, because now the Anselmi brand is well known around the world, fortunately. And of course, you know better than me that the quality is probably one of the most important things if you want to have not just success in the business, but if you want also make something with the heart, not just for to sell, no?
Where do you feel your father found the inspiration for changing Anselmi from a bulk producer to the quality production that they are known for today?
You have to think that my father, and it's not just my opinion, is crazy.
I was about to
Crazy
say
guy.
that, yeah.
Yes, and many people at that time think that he was completely crazy boy. But I know my father very well, and I think that if he didn't take this decision, probably can have a good life, because my grandfather was a rich man, but without dream, without passion in your businesses, in your work, but in everything you do, you cannot be happy. So the first reason that moved my father to take this decision was the passion and the love for our territory and for the quality in general, not just in the wine, but in the food, in everything. And absolutely also he had a good preview of the future.
Yes, yeah.
Now, as I told you before, the marketing is one thing, but the quality is completely different word. And when you work in contact with your territory and with your name, because the territory, okay, we can make our choosing in the market, but we sell something that is very real part of our life. So I have just to thank you, my father, to be so strong man and decided to probably also have a not good moment in the past, because I remember with my grandfather it was not easy to accept for my grandfather
I can understand that, yes.
the renovation and the new style of the philosophy.
Speaking of being brave and innovation, Anselmi have been known for working a little bit out with the DOCG of Soave.
This is a very complicated question, but just to try to be very clear, as you told me, Anselmi and Piero Pan probably in the past were the two most important producers for the Soave territory. The decision to divorce exactly with the DOC appellation and of course the OCG arrived in 2000 years when
the year 2000?
2000,
yes.
When the consortio of the Soave decided to introduce the new DOCG appellation. The real and the most important problem in our territory is the viticulture system. Probably you know that 80% of the territory is made with double pergola system, so very high plants with 2 arms, big production for each single plant,
yes.
Maximum 2,000 plants per hectare, so complete system that is good for quantity, but absolutely is not the best one if you want to obtain very serious and quality appellation.
I understand.
This type of viticulture was planted in the territory after the Second War, when the priority was, of course, to re-increase the economy.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, of course. But the problem is, if you take this type of decision in the territory for 5,000 hectares, because in Soave we have 5-6 probably also 1,000 hectares. It's not easy decided one day to change and to start with a new style of production. And the DOCG in 2000 here can be the real chance to have new value of the territory with a new viticulture system, with many plants per hectare and low production for each single plant, and was probably the last chance to give to the consumer the idea that something changed in the appellation of Soave, and now the best producers are able to create small part of the production but very go up in the quality. Unfortunately, for political reason, because the 80% of the territory is controlled by cooperative, at the end the new rule for the DOCG arrived to have 2 chances. If you plant new vineyards, you cannot use the double pergola to obtain the DOCG appellation, but you can obtain the DOCG appellation also in a small part of old vineyards. It's completely stupid. Nobody, especially in a small country, plant new vineyards and make an investment if can obtain the same result in the old one. And my father, after 1 year, of course, discussion in our winery, in Piero Pan winery, in the cooperative office, completely lost the idea that can be a real new value for the territory, and completely lost the idea that the appellation of Soave can give us something more in the market, and really take all the back label with the DOC appellation, make a big fireplace, and decided to divorce with the DOC.
Now
it was not easy, because I remember perfectly he spent one time around the world to explain to all our consumers and all our importers, agents, why we decided to take this decision. Is 17 years ago. The situation is a little bit different from now. But at the end, we were able to focus in our brands and to communicate our, it's not personal idea of quality, it's a scientific idea of quality. and stop with the DOC Soave. I think that for my father it was a very, very difficult decision, especially for the passion and the heart that he has for the territory.
Your father also made a bit of a move away from the traditional Garganega Trebbiano blend, did he not?
Yes. If I have to be honest with you, we think that all our white wines is made minimum with 70% Garganega grape, and this is to maintain our idea that also a small variety like Garganega that is not too much aromatic, not too much body, is very simple type of grape, but if is well cultivated can give very, very good result in the wine. And then the decision to add a little bit Chardonnay or Sauvignon in our entry-level estate bottle, San Vincenzo, is just a question of our personal idea of style of wine.
Did you eliminate the Trebbiano Toscana entirely?
Yes. Trebbiano di Soave.
It was the Soave, which is different from Toscana?
Yeah, it's the same family, but it's different.
Sorry, excuse my ignorance.
You have to think that we had very, very small part of Trebbiano, is probably less than 10% of the total production. The real changement was to introduce the Sauvignon, 50% in the San Vincenzo, is not big quantity, to give to our wine a little bit more aroma, of course.
Which is kind of lacking in the Garganega.
Yes, 70% in San Vincenzo is Garganega grape. And, but this is nothing to do with the decision of exit from the DOC appellation. Of course, we are not more in the Soave, so we can give to our wine the style that we prefer, no? But if in 2000 the DOCG was born in different way, probably today we have not the thinking to introduce the Sauvignon, of course.
Today, Lisa, how do you feel Anselmi sit on the world stage? When it comes to the world of white wine, how do you think they're recognized?
Allora, if we is two things to consider. The first one is that our idea is to make everything we know in the production of white wines, of course, because red is completely another world, and try to be the best one for our part of territory and for our know-how. Anselmi in the world is well known, I think, from 70% of the consumers. Our idea is our customer is good restaurant, good enoteche, good wine bar, so the good part of the Horeca, and of course also monopoly in some countries like the LCBO. And the classification absolutely can be in the fine wine. But really I think we have very, very good balance between quality and price. So if it's not difficult for us to stay in this position and to sell the wine. If someone doesn't know the name of Anselmi, probably it's necessary to explain, like I explain you now, why we are not Soave, why we are not more in competition with Soave territory and Soave wine, but is okay. Is the marketing development, no, of course. But we are, for example, in Italy, we have not big distribution. We are not in the supermarket or in big stores. In Italy, it's different the condition if you compare with other parts of the world. But fine wine, of course, in every part of the world, we try to be in the category of fine wine.
Lisa, thank you very much for joining us today at Good Food Revolution, and thank you for bringing your wines for this marvelous luncheon today.
Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure for me, and I hope that the wine speaks itself.
Superb. Bye for now.
Bye, thanks a lot.